Oh my god. It's hideous. It's ugly. It's New York City. What did he think?
I like that. I really like that.
You gotta be fucking kidding.
Here's the first movie.
Did you know I'm utterly insane?
Peel that pig and slice him thick.
The body count is always bigger.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
And the fucking trees walked in those movies.
Hi, doggy.
What a story, Mark.
The greatest trick the devil ever pulled.
It's just like your opinion, man.
Life moves pretty fast.
If you want your sequel to become a franchise.
37 dicks. In a row?
I'm your number one fan.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Marathon Me with your host, Kane.
And Rhys.
And today we're finally at episode 8, number 8 of the Friday the 13th marathon. Today we're tackling Jason Takes Manhattan. Oof. Oh boy. This is a very nostalgic... Oh, sorry, what were you going to say?
No, you go. You keep on going.
Oh, well, this is a bit nostalgic for me, actually, because this is my first, like original mainline Friday film that I had seen. Like, previously I'd only seen, like, Freddy vs. Jason and the remake, so I had never seen any of the numbered entries in this series. And part 8, for some reason, I chose to be the first one I watched, because it was either the fact that it was called Jason Takes Manhattan that I was like, oh yeah, I want to watch that, or... I don't know, it had something to do with the title, or maybe it was just because it was the only DVD they had at JB Hi-Fi all those years ago of Friday the 13th, so I had to pick it up.
No one wanted to take Jason Takes Manhattan home?
Apparently not, you know, they were missing out, so I picked it up, chucked it on. As a kid, I fucking despised the movie. I hated it as a child. So I was excited to rewatch it because I remember the last time I'd seen this was with you during our original Friday the 13th marathon, and we had a bit of a riot of a time watching this movie from what I remember. We had a lot of fun taking the piss out of this movie. It
was a lot of fun to watch. It would be a weird introduction to the franchise if this is your first Friday the 13th movie.
It was. Well, because like I said, I had seen Freddy vs. Jason and the remake, but, this was, my first, original kind of mainline Friday film, and, it was a very bizarre introduction and all that, one can say, certainly.
It's sort of it has the goofiness, though, that is sort of, synonymous with those early entries.
Yeah, definitely. But, the million-dollar question is, Rhys, what were your thoughts on this movie? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Do you think it's a hidden gem like Part 3? What are your thoughts?
So, I didn't hate it, but I also didn't really love it. It was just... There were parts that were quite sort of fun, but then there was a lot of it that I'm just like, okay, I'm ready for it to keep on going now. The boat stuff isn't that great, which is sort of what this is like. This is I think in the community is sort of known as the movie that should be in Manhattan, but is on a boat, and it's more Jason on a boat.
Fucking Jason Takes the Titanic.
Yeah, exactly. And I though was pleasantly surprised to see that Jason actually is in Manhattan for longer than I thought in this movie. It's around the hour mark that he gets to Manhattan, and there's still 40 minutes left after that.
Yeah, that is true. There's a lot more of Manhattan than I remember in this film. However, that could not save this movie for me. I fucking hated this. I think this is a terrible fucking movie, and the fact that I was really expecting you to feel the same, but hearing you be not so harsh about this movie is great, because that means I can just go full force with how much I despise this movie.
Perfect.
I loathe this film, honestly. I was really excited to watch this because either A, maybe I could actually find something that a lot of people, missed out on. Maybe it would have been a hidden gem like Part 3. No, it wasn't even funny bad for the most part. This film is a fucking slog to get through. It was a chore to get through.
Damn. I do have to say that the marathoning process definitely does not do favors to this movie, because the emotions that I got from this was that I just felt really tired. I felt really tired through this. I was also waiting for it to end, because I just wanted to go to bed, and it wasn't grabbing me enough that I was like, no, I can stay up. So you calling it a chore is quite sort of accurate. It just sort of like it gave me a unique sense of emptiness.
No, that's a good way to put it. Like I watched this movie at I think 10, 11 at night, and I had some cider that I was drinking while watching this movie because I was like, oh, maybe being a bit tipsy might make this film a bit fun. It did not do anything. It was so fucking boring that not even in an inebriated state I could enjoy this movie. I was just sitting there just being like, man, either A, I wish I was watching a different movie, or B, I wish I was watching this with someone, watching this in my bedroom alone was not what I'd call a very rewarding experience because this movie is fucking horrendous.
Yeah, watching this alone in the empty apartment was a little bit sad. It wasn't the most invigorating experience ever.
I could imagine, same here.
And just imagine how much worse it would have been if we didn't know that Manhattan was not the main focus. If we went into this being convinced that it was going to be Jason in New York for the entire film, audiences surely would have been at the time. Because, looking for a trailer for this even, the trailer that was released at the time for its theatrical release was just one shot that was sort of skyline of New York, slowly zooming up to the back of someone that is standing on a rooftop somewhere. And then as it gets closer and closer in, that person on the rooftop turns back, looks at the camera, and you can see that it's Jason. All that is told to the audience is exactly what the title says. Jason Takes Manhattan. And here's a little bit of that trailer.
Part 8. Jason Takes Manhattan. Now, New York has a new problem.
So that was all that audiences were left with. There wasn't any sort of... And it makes sense too, right, that you would only make that the trailer, because if you had to use footage from the movie, you would have to use a lot of boat footage.
yeah, you would. You really would. And, honestly, no one wants to go into a film called Jason Takes Manhattan and then just have it be on the boat. Audiences were not ready for the amount of crushing disappointment that they were going to see with Jason just being... on the seven seas for most of the film, fucking hell.
And how funny is it too that I think that it's not even the concept of Jason being on a boat is not a terrible idea, but it's the lying and deceiving that turns people off so much. It's the disappointment.
Definitely.
The disappointment and the false advertising of this film is so integral to its identity, I believe.
Oh, definitely, yeah. It definitely just feels like, we were swindled out of a much better film because there was a lot of stuff that they were going to do of having Jason in New York. They were going to have set pieces on the Brooklyn Bridge and the Statue of Liberty, and they obviously couldn't do it because due to budget and also how expensive it is to film in New York and all that. So they only really had enough time to shoot for one day, I'm pretty sure, or one weekend. So that's why there's barely any actual New York in this film, and why when they even are in Manhattan, half of the time they're just in shitty alleyways. It doesn't feel like Jason is in New York except for bar the one scene of him in Times Square. It just feels like he's in generic city USA for the most part.
I totally agree, man. That's what I've heard as well, is that apparently the director wanted to flip the proportions of boat and Manhattan and have the first third, only a third in the boat, and then second 2/3 in Manhattan. But then had to flip it, and it was first 2/3 on a boat, last third in Manhattan. And then what's so weird is you hear about how it was so forming, the budgetary restraints being so forming of this, where you would think that Paramount would give a little bit more money to this after it being such a money-making franchise for them.
I think what was happening though is that I think some of the later sequels, I think Part 7 didn't make wasn't the moneymaker that studios were hoping for, so that's why they were kind of maybe hesitant to really give more of a budget to this entry, I reckon. I think that's what was going on, because I think like the Friday series was starting to kind of wane in on itself in terms of popularity, especially with like other horror franchises. Like Halloween had just come back with Michael Myers. Freddy was like basically the new king of horror at that point in the late 80s. So I feel like a lot of popularity for Jason was starting to like kind of fade during this period, I reckon. And that's probably why like the box office wasn't as large as it used to be back during like the early 80s and all that, when like the series was really like the top dog, you know?
Like, it was still a pretty good moneymaker though. Part 7 cost around like 3 million, give or take, and then made around 19 million, give or take.
Yeah, but like I think like studios, because studios are all money hungry and all that, they probably were expecting it to be like a larger hit than it already was. Like, yeah, it made its budget back and made profit, but I think studios just wanted more out of like those films and all that, especially like in comparison to like some of the early entries, especially on like lower budgets that just skyrocketed in terms of profit.
So Part 8 cost $5 million to make, and it made less than Part 7. It only made around $14.5 million.
Jesus.
So it cost more, made less, but if they probably put a little bit more money into it, then if it was actually good and people didn't hear about the disappointment, probably would have made a lot more money, because people would have, without a doubt, because no one wants to be lied to, right? Like, the general public, last thing they want to do is, like, have, like, a snake oil salesman lying to them in the movie theater. So I think the word would have gotten out that, oh, bro, don't even watch that new Jason movie. Like, he's barely even in New York. Oh, he's barely even in New York? I'm not going to see it then. And
word of mouth definitely would have killed this film.
Yeah, and what's interesting is that if, let's just say Part 8 was Jason on a boat, and then Part 9 was Takes Manhattan, and had like, spread it to two different movies, and a whole film was based around Jason on a boat, could have been fine, could have been good, and like, I think that there was enough there to market that, I think. Enough of a unique take to get people in, and then Going to Manhattan, another unique step. So, yeah, very, very weird, but on the first, like the opening of this movie, like the first opening title sequence shows you all the sort of sets of New York that we're going to go to eventually. So it even, from the get-go, is making you think, oh boy, we're here, we're in New York, we're going to be here. And
they have like a full-on like just a random song playing as well, be like, I love this town type thing, really like setting the mood for like the seedy like late 80s era New York and all that, really getting you excited to be like, oh boy, let's see what kind of trouble Jason will get up to in this concrete jungle. And yet it's nothing's done with it up until like the later half of the movie. Not even the later half, like the later third.
Imagine how hyped you would have been being in a movie theater, sitting down as a hardcore Friday the 13th fan, getting this opening fed to you. Yet the build-up of, they're going to be there, and then you don't return there for another hour, and then until the lie is revealed to you that, no, we're actually not going to be here just yet. Man, the hype and the disappointment would have been unreal. And also, just imagine in that movie theater, if you're in a packed movie theater, I'm really trying to like live this here, of being around people as hyped as you are, everyone just anticipating getting to those shores and it taking so long, and just like the tension. There would have been so much tension in that movie theater.
Oh, definitely. And then like it all just being for nothing, and then all just like being for nothing, and then everyone just being collectively just like angry, disappointed, sad, maybe some walkouts, even like just all around probably not a good time was had for audiences back in '89. And like, going into this film, you and I knew like what we were getting into. We knew that this film was barely in New York, but even then I still felt robbed watching this movie. I still felt like I was robbed of a better film. Like, similar to Part 7, this film should have been a surefire banger. Like, even just Jason on a boat is cool. Is cool in theory because it's a different location, and also it's a much more isolated area than like in a campsite in the middle of the woods. Like, this is fully isolated. You can't go anywhere, and yet this whole boat setting, which could have been cool and nice and claustrophobic, especially in like the lower decks, it's not interesting at all. It's very just boring to me, honestly. Like, nothing interesting is done, in my opinion.
Yeah, like we're here speaking for 15 minutes about the disappointment of like the boat and the Manhattan dynamic, where that is not even the worst thing about this film, right? What the worst thing about this film is the lack of presence that Jason seems to have in this film. Like, so even like ending up on the boat, do you remember the shot where he ends up on the boat?
Oh, like where he's climbing up the fucking anchor and he's just like kind of appears out of nowhere. Well, I mean, that's kind of like a general theme for Jason in this movie. He just appears out of nowhere because this is definitely the film that coined the whole teleportation power that Jason is theorized to have in these movies, because he's like you said, he has no presence because he is just like everywhere in this. He's everywhere and nowhere because he's just fucking instant transmissioning everywhere. So he doesn't have a full presence.
Yeah.
It's fucked.
Jason doesn't take Manhattan in this. He ends up there. He ends up in Manhattan. That would be a more accurate title. Jason wanders to Manhattan somehow.
Yeah. Like, oh my God.
Like, it's all so just like random events occurring that don't even make an attempt at why it's happening. Just like, Jason's here on the boat now.
Yeah, it's like a little kid telling a story, being like, Jason's over here. How did he end up here? Oh, he's just there. Oh, now he's over there. Now he's here. Like, because
he teleports.
Yeah, exactly. He's just like he's just there because the plot demands it. That's really it. It doesn't like feel like there's no gradual what's the word? I can't think of it.
Okay, that's alright.
God damn it. Like, there's no lead up to where Jason ends up. There's no like lead up to like the shot there, to like shots of like Jason like, chasing victims or like hiding in rooms. He's just appearing here, appearing there, appearing fucking everywhere.
He also just it feels like that the crew and maybe not the cast so much, but the crew just didn't really understand it was very inconsistent with what they're trying to make as an entry in this series. It was like they didn't get the Friday the 13th franchise. Like how I said in a couple episodes ago, how the director of Part 6 sat down at the Paramount lot and then watched all of the Friday the 13th movies in a row.
Yeah, like he gave a shit. He wanted to study the previous entries to make a good follow-up. And then with this, it just felt like they didn't know what they were doing.
I would not be surprised if the director of this just got given footnotes of what happened and then sort of made it from there. And like one thing that sort of expresses this to me is that when like Jason escapes his chains in Camp Crystal Lake once again, there's like this evil laugh that plays. Did you hear that?
God, yes, I did, and I was like, my jaw was on the floor. I literally paused the movie and rewound it because I was like, I did not just hear that. I did not just hear that. And then I was and still am in disbelief that was an actual real thing that they chose to include in this movie.
So fucking strange, because it's not supposed to be him laughing, hopefully. It's supposed to just be evil incarnate laughing at like it's like the devil is laughing, like, oh, I'm releasing him again. God. Like, what the fuck is it?
Speaking of... Yeah.
And like, it plays again when he grabs his mask for the first time.
Oh my God, it's awful. And also, speaking of like weird like audio choices, you know how like, you got the famous like the famous like, Jason motif. The start of this movie, they do it, but it's like Jason, son. Like,
yes! And I heard that as well.
Yeah, the second I heard that, I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, it felt like parody, like not even a good parody. It just felt like literally someone that did not understand Jason and was just like, oh, okay, yeah, like evil. He's got the evil sound to him. Oh, okay, let's just let's have it chant Jason because that's evil and that's part of his character. Yeah, and it's like, no, what the fuck are you doing? This sounds stupid. Stop. What the fuck?
Totally. Yeah, it's like they don't get it. We were talking about in the last episode. We were talking about like the condescension of like you just don't get it. Now,
oh my god, yeah.
I'm happy to be condescending here with they just don't get it. The creators of this thing. I feel like as a normal film viewer, you're not expected to get it, and if you don't get something, it's okay. But if you're making a movie, you should get it. I think you should get
especially if you're making especially if you're making a film in a long-running series with a very popular IP. You should. It is your duty to at least like try to at least fucking get a grasp of what the IP is and like what they're about, you know, and like they're like it's so stupid. It's so dumb. Oh my god.
Like, you know what else they didn't get? I don't think that they understood the lore of Jason as a child, because there's so much Jason as a child popping up in this. And
it makes no sense in this. They just include it for no reason. And they give child Jason a connection to the fucking final girl in this that feels so shoehorned in. Like, I don't know what the hell they were thinking, man.
Also, there's one of the visions, the main character's dog also sees it. Also sees child Jason. So the dog also has a connection with child Jason.
Apparently so.
And how weird is it that, like, throughout the film, the child Jason is getting slowly more and more deformed?
Oh my god. But, like, it does not, like, it should, but, like, don't you just love, like, that was one thing I was very excited to see in this upon a rewatch, just to see, like, the awful, horrendous makeup effects for child Jason in this. Like, oh my fucking god. It was terrible.
It's like so did she see him like deformed, or did she see him not deformed, and how is she then visualizing all of them? And also another we're following a protagonist that has like these mental issues that is like struggling with this trauma sort of thing. So that seems to be like the consistent thing, that it's like, you know, trauma, like so Jason must be a symbol for trauma or something. We'll talk about that when we get to the end of the entire franchise to see what our entire takes are. But
yeah,
still
to see like how they all kind of interconnect on a more thematic level. Yeah,
and it did nothing here and felt really shoehorned in. The only one that I don't know if I liked it or I didn't like it, but the last like vision that she has of the most deformed Jason in Manhattan when she's driving the car.
Oh,
and then it just
dude.
and it's just a freeze frame, and then like is like still shots of him closing up with like a dun dun dun.
I was in disbelief rewatching that scene again. I remember the last time we watched it, we were in hysterics, and then this time I'm sitting there, mouth agape, broken. That scene broke me, and not in a good way. Like, I was just sitting there just being like, this like, that is when, like, that part was like, it was definitely like one of the points of this film where I'm just like, yeah, I hate this movie. Not just hate it, I hate it.
And it really doesn't help when you're sort of exhausted after marathoning a lot of these movies, and it's just like, fuck, I'm ready for it to finish.
Yeah, oh my fucking god. It was at that point I'm just like, I don't care. I don't want them to get to Times Square anymore. I just want this movie over and done with, please. If I wasn't watching this for the podcast, I would have just turned it off, honestly. It was painful trying to watch this movie, man.
And another very obvious downgrade is, of course, the big man himself, Jason.
Yep, I was waiting for you to get in on this. Yeah,
him and his clothes have seemed to mend themselves, so he no longer has his spine hanging out. He no longer looks as rotten all the way through. His clothes are in pretty good condition, to be honest.
Yeah, they're just a bit slimy and all that, but apart from that, he looks fine. Even his skin looks better. It doesn't look like all like rotted and all. It looks more so. This is a note that I took about this movie. Jason looks less like a zombie in this. He looks more like a fucking sewer mutant.
Yes, he does.
Because his skin's all like pale and kind of glowing as well, and he looks like a rejected toxic Avenger. Like I hate it. I have always hated how Part 8 Jason looks. I hate the yellow hockey mask. I hate how goddamn slimy he is. I hate everything about it.
I like those elements, to be honest. I like the yellow hockey mask and I like the sliminess, but
I've never cared for it.
But going from what he was in the last one, oh my god!
Yeah. Oh, even like especially due to like how amazing he looked in Part 7, to then have him look how he looks now in this movie is one of the biggest downgrades. And then even just taking out like my love for Part 7 Jason, just the look of him, I've never been a fan of it. I've never liked the slimy look of him. I've never liked the yellow hockey mask. I don't like it at all. I don't like this toxic Avenger looking motherfucker.
So much less care taken into it. Even when like his hands come over the bar railing to get on the boat for the first time, you see his fingers, and he has like human fingers, like completely normal human looking fingers.
Yeah, when like in the previous film, like the gloves that he was wearing were basically like rotted off and rotted off
bones.
And kind of bony. Yeah, it's all like bony, and like his like skin and like the glove are kind of infused together with one another, showing off bone. Like a lot of intricate detail was put into Part 7 Jason, and then with this, we're like, whatever, just make him look like a slimy sewer ghoul or some shit. It'll be fine. It'll be scary. Like, no. It did not.
Even though they were sort of like skipping ahead a bit, but like, because we're talking about his design anyway, the unmasked version of him, I remember telling you at the time, and I sort of still agree with this, I sort of like his weird mutant face design.
Why do you still like it? Why? Please tell me.
I find it really unsettling. I find it really, really unsettling, especially with it like paired with him screaming with the acid hitting him. And like it's like this really strange wailing. And I sort of like it. I want to keep on staring at it. I want to keep on staring at it more than the face in the last two movies.
Look, I'm glad that you can find some good from this movie, something that you kind of like. But man, seeing that fucking stupid looking jack-o'-lantern face and the weird
it is very jack-o'-lantern-y.
The weird screaming that he's doing, the fucking, like, before he died, oh my god, dude, the way he dies in this movie where he starts puking out water. Like,
yeah.
What the fuck was that, man? Like, and then also, like, the whole, like, him, like, the weird voiceover of, like, child Jesse going, "Mommy, don't let me drown, Mommy." And I'm like, what? I'm like, no, like, I must be high right now. There's no way I'm hearing this shit right now. There's no way I'm hearing and seeing this nonsense going on. And it oh my god, like, it just made me stop taking Jason seriously. I'm like, no, this is not Jason. This is a sewer mutant. This is like some fucking like skit, like a character from a skit or a parody, or like a really bad like trauma film or whatever.
And then, like, you didn't even mention, too, that he turns back into child Jason when he gets hit by the toxic waste.
God. Maybe my brain just tried to repress that because I got really angry seeing that. I'm like, what the fuck is this shit, cunt? Like, do the other two characters see this? Or is this, like, a visual metaphor for the audience? Like, what? I don't get it. Explain, movie. Explain.
What is it trying to do? And it's almost like the toxic waste is like an antidote. And it almost is like he's this sewer mutant that was changed into this because of the toxic waste, and then being engulfed and submerged by it has turned him back into a child. It's so strange.
It's ridiculous, and also like that scene is made even worse because the next film, he's normal Jason, so it makes the whole him turning into child Jason in this film make even less sense. Like, I don't get it. Like, what is this a metaphor? What is this metaphor being directed towards? This is being directed towards the characters in this movie. Can they see that he's turned into a little boy? Or is it supposed to be for the audience? Like, and if it's for the audience, what the fuck are you trying to convey? Like, oh, Jason's dead, but he's free, or he's I don't get it, and it's making me angry.
Yeah. What is it? I don't get it. But there is in this movie, here's something that's been added back after a while of absence. Is that there's a crazy Sailor Ralph surrogate?
Oh my! This is the worst one. This is terrible. I hated this Harbinger of Doom. Like you haven't brought a Harbinger of Doom since part 3, and like this guy, and you just want to bring, and it's just like this random sailor dude that's just like, oh, Jason's coming back and all that. It's like, okay, where were you in the couple previous movies, mate? Huh? Where were you? Dickhead.
He was out on the sea. He was out.
Sorry. He was out in the Seven Seas warning people about he was warning people about the Kraken and Davy Jones.
Yeah, I was just about to say
and Javier Bardem as a ghost.
Yeah, you could picture this guy being like, "You don't go out there after midnight. You don't do it."
Yeah,
sort of thing
like,
to the rest of the crew.
Yeah, it's terrible. Yeah, obviously, maybe he was a part of a different crew and they kicked him out because they were sick of him, and he was like, "Oh, well, I need to be a Harbinger of Doom for something," and then he's just like, "Oh, I'm in a Friday the 13th movie. Oh, but Crazy Ralph's dead. Okay, I'll take the job." Like, fuck off. God damn it.
On the boat, there's one kill that I do like, which is the sauna kill.
Yeah, the sauna kill's not. The sauna kill's not that bad. Which isn't saying much because like all the other kills in this, like, this has got like the worst in terms of like MPAA like meddling, because like this movie is near bloodless. Like a lot of the kills, as gory as they should be, are like either cut away too early or they're just fucking so lame. Like the bloody kill, like when Jason's killing the rock star girl in the below deck area of the ship.
Oh my god!
Smashes her with a guitar, and the blood is, and there's like a really shitty blood effect on the lens. I'm like,
yeah.
What is this? This is awful. Like I like, oh my god.
I remember that scene as probably my least favorite Friday the 13th movie scene. In general, something about it just irks me the wrong way and feels underutilized and just lame. It feels so lame. And I don't want to watch a Friday the 13th movie that I think, oh, that's lame. Because I don't want to either. I find the aesthetics of Jason and the world that he's in quite cool, and I love that.
No, I agree. And the fact that like a kill in like the below deck areas of a ship, it could be like it could have been really well done and really creepy because, you know, it's really dark, the light, you know, dimly lit, very claustrophobic as well. You could have like something akin to like the first Alien movie with how like claustrophobic a lot of that movie was with trying to hide from the xenomorph and all that. And you could have done something like similar in this. It's claustrophobic, you know, it's nowhere to really run or hide, but yet it's nothing done in this area of the ship and all that apart from that lame guitar kill. Like, that's it. Oh my god, it's terrible.
A kill that feels really underutilized, I think, here is the disco death. Like,
oh yeah, true.
It could have been really cool because a great environment, but then it's like, I don't get what it's trying to do here. Is that like the main character, she gets like disoriented and then just is in a circle going around the room looking for Jason, can't find him, and then he's right behind her, and then like strangles her or snaps her neck or something, and then it's done.
Yeah, and then also let's not forget to mention before, like while she's spinning around, he's just like he's in one corner of the room. Oh, now he's in another corner of the room. He's teleporting. He's fucking teleporting, bro.
And there's not the actual kill itself. Nothing utilized by the disco.
Oh, it's so uninspired. You know, you could have had him maybe like smash her in the head with like one of the lights, or like even a disco ball or something, like just anything apart from just a lame strangle. Like, come on.
Totally right. And then after this, it pretty much turns to the Titanic. I totally forgot that the ship actually sinks. And
same here.
And then we only have like 5 people that end up coming to Manhattan.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that there's 5 people, because literally a scene earlier, one of the teachers like rounds up a bunch of the students, tells them to wait in the disco hall, and then as they're leaving the ship, she's like, "I'm gonna go back for them," and then I think that the male love interest is like, "Don't," or something, and then she's just like, "Okay, I won't." And then they just leave a bunch of the students behind. They don't show those students dying or like Jason really getting to them. So I have reason to believe that the script just forgot about those students and were just like, all right, just leave them for dead on the ship. Fuck it, who cares?
Oh my god! Just to be devil's advocate for the script, even though that I don't think that there's that much thought being in there, but maybe like if Jason is still slaughtering people around the ship. Maybe that's what, because this is one thing that I was thinking when they're taking the boat to Manhattan, is that it's like, surely Jason has taken on a small boat like that before, and like he would just dive, like he would just jump up and tip the boat and then kill everyone all in a row sort of thing. Like like he is not afraid of destroying a boat here and there where he needs to destroy a boat. And then they somehow get all the way from the boat to Manhattan unscathed. So it must be that Jason was distracted with those kids. And that's the only way.
Maybe
that's the only way that they actually got out of it and got to Manhattan alive.
Maybe Jason just needed a smoke break because he realized what kind of movie he was in. He's like, damn.
Yeah, exactly.
This is my low point right here. This is my low point as of this moment.
Man, I'm never gonna get another role like this again.
Oh my god.
They're never gonna give me another numbered entry in the franchise again.
Now I'm just gonna have to deal with fucking subtitled fucking Jason movies now. We're almost entering the Jason era, whereas like all the titles are just like just have the word Jason in it.
Jason does a thing. Jason does another thing.
Exactly. It's just the Jason Does a Thing series now after Part 8. Oh my god, terrible. Well, actually, I don't know if it's going to be terrible because we haven't watched the new movies yet.
My favourite part of the entire movie is when they right away get to Manhattan. And you know why?
Why?
Because Jason without Manhattan is more terrifying than anything that we've seen in this franchise so far. Holy shit. First of all, even like in the opening, in the opening sort of title sequence when they're showing off Manhattan, it looks disgusting.
Oh like, it looks so grimy and gross, like 80s era New York. Oh my lord! And like literally the second they get to New York, they immediately just get held at gunpoint by like junkies and all that. The real New York welcome right there.
I'm wondering if this is what New York was like in the 80s. Like, I've heard that it's terrible and it was like a disgusting crime-ridden place to live.
Apparently it was. It was a very seedy place back in the day.
But no way that it is this bad. Because if it is this bad...
Oh my lord, imagine. Imagine if it was this bad. Oh my goodness.
Wow, because my personal hell location that I've experienced is in Melbourne, the intersection of Flinders Street and Elizabeth Street, and the busyness and hecticness of that corner. I've been there on acid once before.
Yes.
And that is like my hell. Like there were... I swear that I could see zombies because there were junkies around. There was someone just like sweeping the floor. Someone just wearing a bra, sweeping the floor and then going, fuck this, throwing the sweep and then walking angrily down the street. Someone with a hose just hosing off the ground that people are walking through, and it was just what is happening?
Hey man,
this makes no sense.
That's just the typical Melbourne experience right there, man. That's the Melbourne welcome.
And Manhattan just looks ridiculously next level.
My lord, yeah.
And you're right, they get the real New York welcome where they're there for 3 minutes before Rennie gets kidnapped, heroin injected into her, and then an attempted rape. That is much scary. That is much scarier. And also, that was a much smaller amount of time for that to happen than anyone has ever had with Jason around. As in, and this is where, like, here is my one defense of something that the movie is potentially trying to say. Yeah. Is this movie trying to say that modern day New York at the time of production is more dangerous and terrifying than this concept and manifestation of evil itself? Like, because I think it's scarier being like you're in a location that you've never been to before, and then you immediately get fucking kidnapped, heroin injected, and then tried to be raped. Is more scary than this machete wielding zombie after you.
Yeah, nah, true though. It's like, it's funny that like during that scene, like Jason's almost like is given like a heroic moment when he like dispatches
Yes.
the junkies and all that. Like Jason's many things, but the man does not condone rape. All right, we can get behind that.
Or drugs. Yeah, that's actually that's
drugs.
it, right?
Or drugs.
That makes sense though, right? He hates sex, he hates drugs, so he is there like his motivation is shifted for a moment from her to the degenerates. Like he's the ultimate like hater of degeneracy.
He's a true conservative, this man. He hates drugs.
Is.
He hates promiscuity. He does not approve of that shit. And you know what? For once, I can get behind that. Good on you, Jason.
Yeah, there's a real right-wing ideology baked into this franchise.
God damn. Fucking hell. We love that for you, Jason. We love that.
And then we get a bit of like just sort of boring alleyway scenes before there's like the boxing scene. And
the boxing scene I genuinely enjoy. I really like. I always hated the boxing scene as a kid. I always thought it dragged on way too long. By rewatching this movie, I think because I was just so bored, senseless, that seeing this like really goofy ass dude just like try to bash, really just try to bash Jason and then get his head punched clean off, gave me a little like a second of energy while watching this movie, and then it was immediately gone after he dies. It was immediately gone.
Like, it's very interesting the decision that they actively made here to add no music during this boxing scene.
Yeah,
I can totally picture them putting some sort of like Rocky-inspired music to this to make it seem really epic and like dun 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 dun.
Yeah, true though. Like it is very interesting that there's no music and all that. It's very bizarre.
I found it pretty genius that they decided let's have no music to almost like show that this isn't this is not a powerful character standing up against Jason. He's doomed from the start.
Yeah.
He is
yeah.
There's no heroism that is like built into this. He's just
delaying
delaying the inevitable. You're right.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my lord.
we also
sorry, go on. Say it again.
No, you go on because I would have gone to something else.
I was just gonna say even talking about this movie right now, I'm just like I'm not even knowing what to say because like this movie is just still draining me. Thinking about this movie is just making me feel drained. You know.
I am getting hungry and I cannot wait for this to end.
I am very hungry as well. Yeah.
After this, though, we get then the flashback back, which tells us that the main character, why she's having all of these Jason visions, and it's because her uncle threw her into the lake to swim.
I am so happy that we got the main character Remy's backstory. I so needed that because I'm so captivated by her character. This is definitely this is the worst final girl. This is the worst final girl for me. She's so fucking boring. Like, nothing to her character at all. She's scared of water. I don't care. It's like, she's scared of water. I don't care. Her favorite teacher dies in the car crash. I don't care. Everyone I love dies. Like, I don't care. Like, when she's, like, talking to her boyfriend and all that about, like, how she's like, lamenting about, like, when she found out her parents died, I full on screamed at my TV being like, I don't fucking care. Get it over with.
It was not on my radar that her parents were killed. I had no idea, and I did not care, yeah.
Yeah, I was starting to lose it during this movie, man. I was losing my shit. And not in a good way either.
Weird random detail, too, is that her uncle in the boat is wearing Paramount Voorhees' blue sweater.
I didn't really know. I did not notice that. That is an odd detail.
Yeah, I know, right?
What the fuck?
And then, so let's just bang through these last couple of things. So, Jason on the subway is great. Fucking awesome.
Oh, yeah. Wait, alright. The one thing that prevents me from giving this movie a 1 out of 10 is some of the is like when we actually get to Times Square and actually have some real New York iconography. Jason in the subway, great. The shots of him walking towards the camera in the subway, great. The shot of him in Times Square looking really overwhelmed, incredible. Him kicking over the bloody the music box and then showing his face to like those to that street gang, funny. The one genuinely funny thing in this movie.
You know what's weird is that it takes an opposite approach to part 6 again, where it's like it begins fairly serious and then ends like once you're in New York, it's then on like it's like comedy terms. Like like Jason arriving in New York, seeing the sign of his face, and then looking at the camera like, that's not me, sort of thing. Like it goes, and him showing his face to the hooligans. It's going full hard comedy there. Like it's no longer a horror film,
which is like I feel like what this film should have had the essence of Part 6. Like Jason Takes Manhattan. That title makes it sound like it's going to be a rip roaring good time, like a bit of a laugh and all that. So have fun with it, and they did try to make it have a bit of fun with it, but it was too little, too late. You know, like bloody hell.
Yeah, totally.
It's ridiculous.
And like here, there's also so much toxic waste, like just vats of toxic waste around New York.
He kills like the teacher, like by drowning him in just a random barrel of green toxic waste, and it's like, is New York that irradiated? Like, what's going on here? No wonder the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles call this place home.
Was that a thing? Was that a thing that also like there must have been some sort of ideal legend around that like in the sewers that it's like full of toxic waste because that's where
yes.
So maybe is that a thing? Is that a real thing?
I have no idea. I'm not really. This may come as a shock to you and the audience. I know a lot of things, but sadly I'm not brushed up on my 80s New York lore. I'm sorry, guys.
You freaking fool. You fool.
The only lore that I know about 80s New York is that 1989 was a great year for New York. You know why?
Why?
Because Seinfeld, that's the year Seinfeld premiered.
Oh, okay. Game changer for that city.
I know. I'm very grateful that one of my favorite shows and comfort shows was made the same year as one of my least favorite horror movies. I love like how consistently this film has been in terms of my life as like a film fan. It has always been one of my I'm serious. It's always been one of my least favorite horror films, and I'm glad that it still holds that position today. It definitely is. I don't think it's in my top 10. It's not as rage inducing as some other shitty horror films that I've watched, but it's pretty high up there.
Okay, that's interesting. Well, I think that we know what's going to be in the bottom of your list then for this ranking at the end.
Well, let's not speak too soon.
Yeah, who knows? There could be something worse.
Maybe.
like any good PS2 game, they've also got to go to the sewers at some point, and that's where our climax happens. They introduce a new character in the sewer that's like, hey, what are you kids doing here? We're going to get out of here.
Yeah, introduce a new character and then just kill him off like 30 seconds later. Honestly, when they were in the sewers, I actually did kind of laugh for a second when they found the random guy in there. Not because like of anything that he does, it's just the image of a guy in the sewers just made me think about It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Just made me think about Charlie Kelly and Frank just playing night crawlers in the sewers. Oh my god.
I feel like that this would have been a great way for like, here's my pitch for what they should have done here to also extend to make even another movie, is that instead of 60% of this movie being on the boat, making 90% on the boat, and then they get to Manhattan and almost immediately they get to Manhattan and arrive through the sewers. The same climax happens where he gets like taken away and like eaten up by the sewers, but then it opens up for part 9, which is Jason Takes Manhattan. Whole thing set in New York, and Jason has become now a New York City sewer legend. He's that would be good. There are rumors that there's been sightings of him near the sewers and blah 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 blah. And that's what Jason is now. He's now haunting New York. And then somehow by the end of the movie he ends up back at Camp Crystal Lake. Don't know how it happens. Maybe they capture him. The main antagonist is like, the only way to get rid of him is to bring him back to his hometown, sort of thing. And but anyway, that's what I would have liked to see, is this sewer monster Jason for an entire film. That would have been interesting.
Where were you in 1989, bro? Where were you? You could have been fucking writing this shit, man. You could have made a better movie for us to cover.
It's so weird how, like, looking at how the film industry sort of worked at this sort of point, and how Paramount would just assign random directors to make the movie. Like, it's not a director going, I want to do the next Jason movie. It would have been, they get a call and they're like, hey, we have Friday the 13th part 15 and we want you to do it for some reason. And it's like, okay, sure, yeah, I'll do that. And like, yeah, we could have been, imagine if we were in the industry at that point, made one sort of shitty horror movie, proved our chops that we can make a movie, could have gotten a call from Paramount. It
would have been interesting, honestly. Like, oh, if only you and I were living in that era, man. We were born in the wrong generation, I say.
Yeah.
I'm kind of worried now, because like talking about this movie has got me worried about the new Scream film, since Scream 6 is taking place in New York. I am really worried that they're not going to make a reference to Part 8 in Scream 6. They have to make a reference to... you know how, like, Scream 5, talked about, like, requels and all that, and, like, elevated horror? I want, Scream 6... I feel like they just, like, the whole, like, theme around that film, they're just talking about, like, out-of-place horror, or, like, if there's a name for it, like, characters that are just, like, in, like, out of their environment, like, you know, like the Leprechaun in the Hood, or Freddy Krueger in the real world, and all that.
I've got it. I've got it. It's called the horror holiday trope.
Okay, nice.
It's getting a horror icon or property and then just injecting it into a new location, like they're going on holiday. So
yeah, I think like every horror IP's done. Even Child's Play did that. They had like Chucky go to Hollywood instead of Chucky.
Yeah. The horror holiday trope is abundant in so many franchises. So I really hope that, man, imagine if that's the actual if they use that term, or they use a worse term in this Scream movie, which comes out in 2 weeks from now. I'm so excited.
I have not watched any marketing for it. I'm so excited.
You all listeners will be hearing this probably like a little bit after the movie comes out, because and also after the podcast comes out. So listen to our Scream 6 podcast when you get a chance to, if you haven't already, because that will come out before this one.
Oh hell yeah! Yes, please do listen to it, guys. It's gonna be it's gonna be a banger. I just know it.
My hype is here. My hype is here for it.
Oh hell yeah! I'm so excited for it.
Did you have any final thoughts for this movie before we wrap it up?
Yeah, I never have to watch this movie again, and I'm gonna die a happy man. No, do I have any real final thoughts for it? No, not really. Like, like, jokes aside, I'm just really happy I don't ever really have to watch this movie again or think about it. And it really sucks that, like, the original, like, I say the original mainline Friday films, like, the numbered entries, I mean, it sucks that the numbered entries ended on such a low note. And I can only imagine what the hell we're in store for with the Jason Does a Thing entries in this series. I am excited, but also terrified. But you know what? With how shit this movie was, we can only go up from here, right?
True. Very, very true. There's a lot of potential here. And I think that my final closing remark for this film is that I didn't hate it as much as you, but it was not good. It's definitely in the category of bad Friday the 13th movies. And I just felt hollowed by the end of it. Like, it took so much energy out of me to watch it. And I think the reason that of course, like, this is very me, but the thing that I like the most about it is the director trying to say, are they trying to say something in this film by taking Jason in New York, is saying that maybe New York is more dangerous than the man himself. The man that is danger, the man that is murder and evil incarnate, is not as dangerous as the city of New York. Maybe?
Beautifully put. That's actually not a bad way to put it, actually. Like, that's actually, you put more thought into that sentence than the scriptwriters did for this movie.
I think that he comes into New York almost shocked by it, and almost overwhelmed by how gross it is. And like, his grossness is almost matched by an entire city. And that's the only thing that I like about this movie, other than the closing song for the title sequence, for the credit sequence, because it's so 80s, it's so New York, it's so Friday the 13th. It's called Darkest Side of the Night, and here's a little bit of that before we go. Goodbye.
See you, everybody.
Fallen angels lead to the street. It's an empty dance, and so incomplete. Their hollow voices whisper the cry. Farther down the line, there's a reason why. You tried before, but you can't buy it through. No matter what you do.
Don't forget to check out our Facebook page at MarathonMeOfficial, all one word, and our Instagram, MarathonMe_official, to keep up to date on the podcast. And hey, if you want to get into contact with us, email us at marathonmepodc, yes, the letter C, @gmail.com. Like podcast without the R.